We're all searching for it, or people. The ones you can call when you're at the end of your rope. The ones you ask for advice in a difficult stage or deciding on which jeans to buy. The ones who you share dreams and hopes with, who get you to the gym and love your kids like their own. Motherhood was never meant to be a solitary role, and now it doesn't need to be. Here we discuss everything from our favorite kidisms to mental wellness to our best mom hacks and more. Mamas are world changers, and it's time to stop bearing that responsibility alone. So whether you're driving carpool, rocking a sleeping baby, or doing dishes, we're here for you. Welcome to the village. Welcome to episode 17 of the Village Podcast. I'm your host, Missy Allred. Today, I got to chat with Bethany Osborne. She is a mom of two littles, and we just talked, and we ended up talking about how we chose to be a mom and how the things that we say and do, how it affects our kids and the example that we set for them and how important taking care of ourselves is so that we can best take care of our kids. So without further ado, here is my interview with Bethany. Tell me a little bit about you, your family. Who are you?
Okay, so I'm Bethany. I am a mom of two little girls, three and almost one. She'll be one in 2 weeks, something like that. I grew up in Virginia and then moved to Utah when I was 16. And then I served a mission. I, went to Utah State and I eventually got my degree in communicative disorders and deaf education. And then met my husband, got married, and then after we had our first daughter, we moved to Boise, Idaho, and then we moved back to Utah about 6 months ago. So
fun. Right now, you are a stay-at-home mom, right?
yes.
Okay, tell me a little bit about how you got there, why you were thinking about other things, and what kind of ultimately led you back to my role right now is being a caregiver.
Okay, this is a good question. So growing up, I was always like, okay, I'm you know, gonna go to college and then I'm gonna get married and then I'm gonna have a family and da 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 da. And I feel like it was always planned out in a way. And so after college, I was just kind of like, well, what do I do? I kind of had like not an identity crisis. I think going to college, there's a lot of pressure. Like, okay, you got to have this career and you have to have everything like lined up. And I just felt like a lot of pressure. And at that time, so I started my college degree and then I got married and had a baby before I graduated
Okay.
college. And so I was already a mom. I just had all this pressure. So my degree is to go to grad school. And so you have to get your certifications and it's a process to
Yeah.
get your degree and to be able to practice theoretically in this field. I decided I was just like, okay, maybe we can make this work. I'll go to college, I'll get my master's, and I don't know, we just had many conversations, my husband and I kind of was just like torn between both. And I was like, I really want to be a mom, and I know we want more kids. And I don't know, a lot of it was just like really hard to decide because I was like, well, I want both things, but both things didn't quite seem as tangible. Like you can do it, but it's just really rigorous. It's really hard to go to through the with the grad program and all of those things that go in with it, plus money and also where we were living. I'd have to either go online or I'd have to find somewhere else. And anyways, it was just like a lot of little details. And so we were talking about it, and eventually I just felt really strongly after praying and different things like meditating and thinking about it. I really, really want to be a mom, and I don't know, it just felt so right to be a mom. So that was kind of the beginning of it. And then eventually I feel like in some ways I have like a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. I don't know, I just felt like we really need to be doing something so that we can eventually get into our own house and, just keep like moving forward in our lives. And because we had all these goals and dreams and all these things. And so I was like, well, if I was able to work or able to do other things, then maybe we can make things work better. And like, I don't know, I just had all these ideas I continually have ideas. Like I keep bringing ideas to my husband like all the time. But so it's not like I'm fully like all in on not doing anything, but I don't know, just nothing really felt like that's what I need to do. Nothing trumped over being a mom, that caregiver to my kids. I mean, everyone's situation is like so different, and not everyone can be home with their kids. But I felt like if I can do that, that is the most important thing to me. That I was just being drawn to being like, okay, this is more content with where I am now than when just trying to grasp at something that I could have.
If it wasn't a necessity, if you're going to split your time, it needs to be something that you feel all in on. Not that you have to spend all your time doing something else, but just that you feel sure about, that you feel like, I love that you said content. Right now, I'm content where I'm at, and that it doesn't have to be all or nothing of this isn't forever, and I'm keeping options flowing and ideas coming.
Right.
And if something comes up, like maybe I'll change my mind, but for right now, I am content, but that doesn't mean that I'm stagnant and
Right.
forever going
Exactly.
to be here. I always dreamed about being a mom. Like that's what I wanted to do when I grew up, right? And I didn't
Same.
think too much about a career, truthfully. And my major was the same, where like if I wanted to practice in my major, I needed to get some sort of master's, doctorate, something along those lines to do anything. And I got pregnant with my oldest. When I graduated, I was like 3 months pregnant or something, 4 months pregnant, somewhere
Okay.
around
So
there.
right after.
Yeah. So like I didn't have much of a window. Like I knew I was gonna have a newborn in a few months. Do I really want to go on? I don't know if I want to go on. And but I just think that's so interesting that like we dream about being the mom and we get there and then we're kind of like, well, now what?
Exactly.
Because our life was planned out. You go to college, you get married, you have the babies, and then it kind of just stopped there. And you get there,
Right.
and then it's like my whole life is like stretched out before me, and I don't even know what to do now.
Right. Exactly.
And that's overwhelming.
It really is.
And you
I
feel
mean,
like you
there's so
have to
much
fill it with
possibility
stuff.
too. And so I think that's good and it's like hard at the same time.
Oh yeah, you're
But
given too many options, and then it's more overwhelming. Like if I could choose this or this, that's way easier than like here's literally anything. Like where do I even start? And so how have you found purpose and contentment within your family, within being that full-time caregiver, which is so much more than just a stay-at-home mom?
I feel like contentment with it is an ongoing process for me. It's not like, okay, I'm content. Like, I think I've just had to continually find peace and joy within what I'm doing because being a mom is not easy and you obviously don't get paid for it. And so it's like some caregivers get paid for it, but not a mom. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's just like continually like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And this is what I've always wanted to do. Like as a little girl, I feel like a career was almost always like my backup plan, so to speak.
Yeah.
And um, but then once I kind of was getting into it, I was like, oh, I really love this. Like I really want to get into it. And then now I don't even know if I want that. I don't know if I want to go a different way or different route. But I think right now, as my kids are still young, it's just like just finding happiness in the little things in their lives, like finding joy, like, they come up to me and they're like, Mom, I did this. And you're like, Yay, I'm so proud of you. Like, we just did potty training. So it's like, that's a big deal.
It
And
is.
so I don't know, just finding little joys in those things. And I mean, it's hard as a mom. I'm like, okay, I gotta keep sane in some ways. I gotta find little outlets to help myself or help my family, and so that I'm not like going stir crazy. Because recently we just got our second car, but I've been living without a car for like years.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so I've been at home a lot. So I've had to find ways to get out of the house, different things to occupy our time as a family so we're not going crazy, as well as myself not going crazy. But yeah, I think it's just a continual thing for me, and to find peace and happiness in the little mundane things in everyday life.
How have you gone about doing that? Because it does have to be a very conscious thing to choose to find those little magic moments in the
Yeah.
midst of every day looks about the same. Or how do you go about doing that?
Have
How are
to,
you present enough? Because I feel like sometimes it's just we're so distracted that we don't notice those moments, and it's when we can actually be fully present that they're really easy to find.
right.
So how do you stay present?
I'm definitely can be distracted. I can make myself distracted. I could just
We all
be
can.
like, I could zone out and be on my phone while my daughter's like on watching a show, the other one's napping. Just taking away some of that time. I mean, I'm not perfect. I feel like I'm just like learning every single day, like how to be better and how to do better about finding little moments that are good. And I really found like if I spend more quality time with my kids, like that's where I find a little bit more. I have to keep up a house. I mean, I have dishes and laundry, like all the things I have to keep up with. And I think what has helped is taking away some of that distraction and just like focusing on them. I just kind of like look around and be like, they might be making a mess right now, but they're having fun doing it. So my almost 1-year-old and my other daughter, they are starting to play together. And that is just
Oh,
like
it's
so
so
fun for
fun.
me to see, like just them playing with the kitchen and with their dolls. I think it has been like just so heartwarming and so sweet to see them interact and to just take those moments in and just like see their life through their eyes.
Yeah, I love it. How do you like to connect with your kids? I put out a post a few months ago, and it was like, I am not the mom that does this or likes this. One of the things I said is, I don't like to play on the floor with my kids. I have a really, really hard time doing that.
Uh-huh.
And so for me, connection looks more like I love to sit and read stories with them. My 5-year-old asks questions literally constantly. I've been trying to be consistent about reading them a book before bedtime. And so we
Yeah.
were reading our book, and I kid you not, we hadn't even gotten through the first page before he had stopped me and asked three different questions about what a word means or what this is talking about. And I was like, okay, I love that you love to learn, but we got to get through the book. Like, one or the other, because they're not both going to happen. But I love to connect with him in that way and just, okay, what do you want to learn about today? And he's like, I want to learn about electricity. I'm like, all right, let's do it. I love to take my kids out on adventures to the park, to the museum, hiking. I love stuff like that, but I know not everybody does. So how do you like to connect with your kids? Yeah.
My older one, I feel like she's a lot like me in a lot of ways. And so that has been kind of helpful in knowing like, okay, this is what is gonna help work with her. She's always like, okay, mom, I really want to do a craft. So, and I love to do crafty things, except for the mess part, but that's always part of part of life and part of making memories. But I do get on the floor with my kids a lot. They definitely do like to know what their interests are. My daughter loves to dance. We just recently started dance lessons with her, and then every day she'll be like, "Can we do a dance party?" I'll just turn on some music, and sometimes it's like the exact same song over and over and over again, but she loves to listen to it. And so we just like do a dance party here in the kitchen or in the living room. And so that has been so fun. We do books as well, and that has been fun. Those are a few things that I try to do what she's interested in, but once I have more of my other one getting into things or whatever, then I don't know. I guess I don't know how to split that time, but for right now, that's kind of what has worked for
I
me.
love that. And I love that you're listening to like this is what they like to do, and so that's what I'm going to do too. And that it's something that you enjoy and because
Yeah,
I think there's
thankfully I
definitely a
enjoy it. I
balance
feel like
of
it'd be so much
yeah.
harder if like it was totally something else. I mean, if I had a little boy who loved trucks, like I would not know anything about trucks. It's helpful right now, but you
Yeah, and
know.
I think there can be a balance too of like playing pretend. My kids all day today, let's play PJ Masks. Like, I don't really want to play PJ Masks. They didn't actually ask me this time, but like they were playing PJ Masks, right? Like
Uh-huh.
the pretend stuff, I just have a hard time with. But like if they want to build a tower, I will build a tower out of blocks or Legos with them. And so I think you can definitely have this balance of these are things I enjoy and knowing what they enjoy and finding the common ground because I also think that one, it's impossible to be fully present all day. I think as moms, we beat ourselves up of, oh, I should have been paying attention to them, or I should have been, should, like all these different things of what we should be doing, right? But
Right. Oh yeah.
I
100%.
don't think it's good for our kids to be with us. Yes, we're like pretty much with them all day long, but we're not like with them all day long.
Yeah.
And I think
No,
that's a
totally.
good thing, but we beat ourselves up for it.
Yeah, so
And
true.
I think that they would get sick of us.
I know.
I like truly, I think they would be so sick of us and be like, please go
Be like,
away
get
and
out
let
of
me
my
just do
space,
my own
mom.
thing.
Leave me alone.
Yes. And like, not just that they would get annoyed, but also, how are they supposed to learn to play independently, to figure out problems, they can't learn to do things on their own if we're always with them.
Yep,
So I think
so
getting
true.
away from them, I mean, I don't necessarily, you know, that doesn't mean that they go somewhere else or we go somewhere else necessarily, but doing their own things, us doing our own thing so they can do their own thing is such a healthy way to interact with our kids and then have pockets where we're present. But also, we don't have the capacity to be that present that long. Like if
No.
you go back to your school time or when you had a full-time job or like you only have so long where you are fully focused on a task before you're just not fully focused on a task anymore.
Yep.
And the same thing happens with our kids. And so we beat ourselves up for not being present and not being with them all the time. And but actually that's the best thing for them to learn, for us to have space from each other and to actually be fully present when we are present.
Right. I mean, yeah, I have to get things done. I have to get, dinner done or, all the chores. And so I definitely agree. Like, I'm not always with them. I mean, I'm with them, but I'm not like fully present with them all the time. I've recently just taken up sourdough and different hobbies that
Oh,
has
I
like
love it.
helped keep me a little bit sane. Then I also feel like, okay, I can do sourdough because then I'm also helping my family, or different things
Yeah.
like feeding them. And I don't know, I feel like, yeah, they need their time as well as we need our time. And
Yes.
so I definitely agree with what you're saying.
And that is not a bad thing. It's the
No,
best thing. Like, I think
yeah.
it's important for especially our girls, but our kids in general to see mom be more than just mom.
Hmm.
Because what are we teaching them if we are always with them, if we're only being mom, if we are only being the caregiver, being the homemaker, and we don't do anything else with our lives, that kind of
Yep.
sets a precedence that, well, that's what a mom does. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but if that's all we are, then they feel like that's what they have to be, and that is exhausting.
Right. And we're modeling so many things for our kiof They're learning all the time
Exactly.
from us. And so like recently we've been talking about like red lights and green lights and yellows and all of those fun things and learning those things and they're like I think she's just kind of like a sponge. I feel like just everything that we teach them and everything that we model for them is so important right now. I really need to be better and do better about like being more intentional in that way. I'm definitely not perfect when it comes to that. Sometimes I'll make comments. I'm like, I look like trash today. Sorry, honey, like to my husband. I'm in my sweatpants, hadn't showered, like no makeup, just
Yep.
like all the
I mean,
things.
that is me today.
Yeah, I mean, I actually put makeup on today, but that was about it. And like sometimes I just make comments about myself and I'm just like, I shouldn't be doing that because I know that is being projected onto my children, or they're gonna be like, oh, I'm not pretty, or I don't feel pretty if I don't like wear makeup. We're in the
Yes.
stage of princesses and all of the girly things. And so I feel like I need to be better about being a better mo role model. I mean, I try, but
Of course.
like,
And like I think we're all doing the best that we can. And we're never going to be a perfect parent. And so there's always going to be something that our kids are like, oh, I wish my mom did this. And it totally depends on the kid too about, I can come out of my childhood and be like, mom and dad did this great, but you know, this I'm
I
gonna
would
change.
change this about
But my siblings would be like, that was fine. Like that other thing was a problem. We'll never get it perfectly, but there's only so much we can do. And also, I think some of the best things that we can model is how to take care of ourselves, how we speak to ourselves, like you were just saying. And like I don't want my kids, my boys or my little girl, to grow up and be like, adults don't take care of themselves and it's all about everybody else. I do not want my kids to ever think that. But
right,
that is like the message that we are telling ourselves constantly. And so I want my kids to see me taking time to go out on a date with my husband and to spend time with my friends and to develop hobbies and to work out and
right,
to eat things that fuel my body and help me feel good and to see me happy in my leggings and sweatshirt and no makeup. I don't even put my contacts in today.
right.
And that sometimes I want to dress up and take the time to like get all fancy because it's fun and I want to
Right,
like it can be both, but I want my kids to see that. And I think that we also can do that with them. I love to cook and bake. And so that's like a really important thing in our house is we like rarely go out, mostly because I love it.
yeah,
And
that's
so we
awesome. Yeah,
spend a
we
lot
do
of time
too.
doing that. And so my kids are like, oh, we want to help you. And I'm
Yeah.
working on letting them help, letting them do it on their own.
It
And
takes a lot.
it's so much patience. But
It is.
but then they get to be a part of my thing too, of not just, okay, I'm doing things that they want to do, but to let them be a part of my things. And so I'll work out and my kids are like, oh yeah, we want to work out too. My son today was like, Mom, can I just do my workout? I was like, yeah, you do your workout. So he like grabs a little like 2 pound weight and is like doing all this stuff with it. But
Yes.
I love that. And so we've had these conversations of we work out because we love our bodies and we eat good food because we love our bodies and we listen to our bodies and if you ask my son, my oldest son, like what happens when you eat a lot of sugar, he goes, I get grumpy because he knows that that's what happens when he eats a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
But we're teaching our kids these things, and it's so important to bring them into our world just as much as it is to go into their world.
Yes. No, I love that. I love that. My daughter today, she was like, she's like, Mom, I want to exercise. And I hadn't exercised yet. And she's like, I want to exercise. And I'm like, okay. Like, so we turned on a little like YouTube video and she did it. So she moved her body a little bit, things like that. I love that. Like, yeah, I love that you've mentioned like saying that it's just as important for them to see us as well as it is for us to see them.
Yeah.
Um, it's so important to like show them that we're normal, we're human.
Yeah,
We 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 can do nice things and we don't, don't look as nice. We can look nice the other time. But I definitely do. I've definitely noticed definitely a huge difference of when I take care of myself and then when I don't take care of myself and how much better of a mom I am. But
totally.
I mean,
Oh
I'm
no,
always trying
totally.
to be a good mom, but like,
I mean, I think we're always like a good mom, but like we
yeah,
show
like
up, we
we don't
act.
give my best self.
Yes,
And so
totally.
I feel like when I take the time to um put into myself, I feel like that is so much better for me and them. Sometimes, most days, I just want to be in my sweatpants. But lately, I've been like, okay, I'm gonna dress up every couple days, or if it's been a day or so, like just trying to be more intentional about that because I feel like I definitely do put a better foot forward when I feel better about myself. And if I feel crappy, I'm not gonna be as fun of a mom, you know?
Sometimes if I'm having a rough day, I will literally go shower and like put on a cute outfit and do my makeup and hair because I
It makes you feel
show
so
up
much better.
so different. So different if I feel that. And again, there's nothing wrong with my sweatpants and glasses like but there is
No,
something
there's nothing
good
wrong.
about taking care of yourself. And not that I'm not taking care of myself, but it just makes such a difference. And when I can the days that I've started waking up and going to the gym early a few days a week and it is so hard personally.
I get out of bed when my girls wake up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that's always been me. And truthfully, that's me most like the rest of the days. But my favorite days of the week are those early morning days because I started with me. Like it is such a cliche, but like you can't pour from an empty cup or like you have to put your oxygen mask on first. It's such a
Yeah.
cliche, but there's a reason it is
Oh, it's
because
so true.
it's so true. And I feel like until you tried it, you're like, oh yeah, sure. But then you try and you're like, no, that was actually life changing, truly.
Yeah, you never know how good a shower is until you have one. Now, that's what my
Yes.
husband would always like joke about. He's like, you'd feel so much better if you showered.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily mean a 6 a.m. gym time, but just taking that time
No.
to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you put your best foot forward and you show up as that good mom that you are, but you're just acting more like it that day.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes
Yeah,
such a difference.
it
And
it does. I mean, so many people have told me that for a while, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, I just want to be home in my sweats. And then until I was really doing it, I was like, okay, this is so much better.
oh, so much
So
better.
much better.
And then we show our kids the side of us we want to, and we just show up as the mom we want to be.
Yeah.
We are that mom because we've taken the time to take care of ourselves. And again, then we're showing them it's really important to take care of yourself. And probably my kids see it's like been long enough that they see the days that mom doesn't take care of herself and the difference it makes. Today
Yeah.
truly was one of those days. It was not our best day, but I stayed in bed for a while. Even after I woke up and my kids woke up, I was in bed for a while. I finally exercised at like 7:30, which like I got it done, but like I didn't get it done until 7:30 p.m. And so I had
Hmm.
all like the days I exercise early, not even before the kids wake up necessarily, but in the morning makes all the difference. I never showered and got ready. I just threw on
But
clothes.
you took that step. It's like you did one thing towards yourself that day, or
Oh
today,
yeah.
whatever.
And I totally wrote it down. So in my journal every day, one of the things I write is I call it my next right steps. And so I will sit and just like what's one thing I can do? I have it for my husband. What's one thing I can do for him just to better our relationship? One thing with my kids, one thing for myself, and one thing for my business. And today for myself, it was I just need to get a workout in at some point. And today it was at some point and put it in at the last
Much
minute, but
later.
I got it done and it makes a difference. Even if it's at the end of the day, like it definitely would have made a difference throughout my day if I had just buckled down and done it. But that has been so helpful for me of like if nothing else happens, if I can do this, it will make a difference.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I feel that way with like not just like self-care, but as well as like getting things done in the house and like I feel like I feel a lot better when I have like the dishes done or different things. I mean, my house is messy right now, but like if I take the time to do that, I feel so much better about my day and about moving forward with my day and doing fun things with my kids when like things like that are taken care of as well. Um, but yeah, I definitely totally agree that self-care is like totally makes a huge difference.
And isn't it so funny that you mentioned the dishes? I feel like my house is way cleaner if my dishes are done. Even if
Yeah,
nothing
it's
else
so
changed,
true.
like my whole house is cleaner if my dishes are done.
Yeah, it's so true. That's why I mentioned the dishes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is so something I'm working on of letting it go. I was literally having a conversation about this with a friend, like all afternoon of what can I let go of and what are the things that are the biggest priority around my house? Like what
Yeah.
would make the biggest difference for me and my mood if I did this in my house? And for me, it's my bedroom. Like if my bedroom is clean, I at least have a place to come that's free of at least most of the chaos.
Yeah.
But it's like my bedroom and my kitchen are the two big ones. If I can get my dishes done, like people talk about putting their house to bed at night,
Hmm.
making sure the dishes are done, toys are cleaned up, stuff like that. And I'm absolutely a proponent of that because of this, where I feel less behind. I say it sets morning Missy up for success because if I wake
Right.
up and the house is still a disaster and the dishes aren't done and there's this pile of laundry from 3 days ago to still be folded, I wake up and feel like I'm starting the day behind. And
Right.
sometimes nighttime Missy just needs to go to bed, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
most of the time, it's better for me to take the 5 minutes, the 20 minutes to reset everything so that I can start my day out in a way like it really is self care for myself.
No, it's so nice. I totally agree. The days that I get dishes done and different things done, yeah, like put the house to bed, put the kitchen to bed, all those things that I've heard, like it definitely helps. I mean, I'm not the best about putting it to bed most of the time. I'm working on that one. I hate getting up in the morning being like, okay, do breakfast, do dishes, do like,
But you
I
gotta
don't
do the
know.
dishes before you do the breakfast because
Yeah,
shit.
it's just like this thing, and
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, it takes forever for us to get doing something fun, you know. My kids are young, so it's a little bit different than if you have kids that are older, but we just do a lot of fun things, start preschool and different things soon. It is really nice not to have to worry about all that stuff when you wake up because I feel like it's such a burden. But I also feel like it also, if you have different things going on, if you have to do dishes or do different things in the morning, it also helps me make myself more productive as well. Like if I don't have something to do, I just like go sit on the couch or go, like I'm not as productive in some ways too, because I feel like sometimes it takes me a while to get going in the morning too. So
And I feel like
I
I'm the
definitely
opposite,
see
where if
both
I
sides of it.
have a ton to do, I will sit on the couch and do nothing because I'm too overwhelmed by all the things to do. And so for me,
That
I
also
need
is
to do
too.
it first. So like knowing yourself, and I think this is why I love discussions like this, where it's okay to be different than someone else, and you have to figure out what works for you. And that
Right,
might be completely opposite of what somebody else is or what, the experts are saying.
right.
And
I feel like I'm a mix between both
yeah,
in some ways. Like some days I'm like, okay, yeah. And some days I'm like, I really need this to get me going on my day. So yeah, it just
yeah. And
depends.
like some people, if I have somewhere to be, I'm really good about getting up and going. If I have somewhere to be in the morning, my whole day is much more productive. Or
Yeah,
like I'm just much more intentional. Like not even necessarily productive, but
yeah,
just more intentional, more present. But if I don't have something until later, like I didn't have something today until that I had to leave my house for until like 1 o'clock, and I pretty much dragged my feet until 1 o'clock.
yeah.
And so I know that about myself. And so planning things, I know some people are like, leaving the house that much is not fun. Where for me, I'm like, I gotta leave the house like every day.
Yeah.
And in the morning is the best time.
Yeah, and that's what works for you. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, everyone's so different. I haven't really noticed like a huge trend in that for me, but like I definitely, if there are a few mornings, if I plan things in the morning, I definitely have to get, okay, I have to get ready. I have to get the girls ready. I have to feed breakfast. I have to like all the checklists of things that you have to get done in order to get to said
Yeah.
appointment or said, thing. It's like, it is a lot. And so, yeah, it definitely makes you more productive.
Yeah. Like I said, I love having conversations like these that
See
we are
different
all
perspectives.
different. Yes, different
Yeah.
perspectives because it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. And you're never going to get a one size fits all. It doesn't exist. And so hearing things like this and taking it as here's what works for us, here's some ideas of
Yeah.
what you might try that's works for different people. But I mean, it's kind of frustrating because you're like, well, now I have to go figure it out myself. But ultimately, yes, you do. But it sometimes it just takes hearing other perspectives of like, okay, that's a possibility. Like there's something I could try. And
Right.
that's why I love
It's
this.
like, okay, maybe putting the kitchen to bed's not for you, you know? Like everyone's so different. Yeah, totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
And like I've heard some people that are like very anti put their kitchen to bed because it's just one more thing and it's cutting into their time to do things they really want to do. And that is
Uh-huh.
totally fine. That's
Yeah.
totally fine because that's what works
I
for
know
them.
my husband's like, he just wants to sit down and read a book or, like
It'll be
play.
worrying in
Sometimes
the
I
back
just
of my
want
brain
to,
of like, I need to do this. And so it's way better for me. I'm way more present if I can do it first instead of having it like
no, that
sitting
totally
in the
makes a
back of
lot
my
of
mind
sense.
waiting.
So, yeah, sometimes I just need a break. And then sometimes I'm like, I need to get it done. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
totally.
And there's definitely some days where I'm like, it's not happening tonight. It's not going to.
That's
Because
okay.
right now, Missy needs the break way more than morning Missy does after a full night's sleep.
Yep.
And so also being able to like switch things around and there's definitely different seasons. Honestly, the last, I don't know, few months, I haven't been so good. I've done some stuff, but haven't fully put my house to bed like I honestly have done for years. It
Hmm.
just hasn't happened. And so also being able to see that different seasons are going to bring different routines and schedules and letting it be okay that things are different
Yeah.
and
No,
need
I
to
think
change
that's
around.
also really important to remember because, like, there's sometimes where that is not practical.
Yeah.
And so I, I mean, I'm just thinking back to like when I was pregnant and like both of my pregnancies were just not fun at all. Like I was sick for about half the time.
Oh,
And so like I didn't feel like doing like anything. And so life looked a whole lot different than it does now. Like my husband had to do a whole lot more. I couldn't even stand to do the dishes. So like, I
I couldn't
mean,
even walk through the kitchen. Like with my last
same.
pregnancy, I literally had to plug my nose and run through the kitchen. I could
Yeah,
not be
like
in there.
anything could set you off. And so
Mm.
like, I don't know, yeah, just different seasons in life totally can change how how productive you are. It doesn't matter. It just like if it gets done, it gets done. Like, I don't know. I feel like to me sometimes like if I have family over or if my family's playing, I'd much rather play with them than be doing the dishes.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather be more present in that regard and then do it later or whatever. So it's not, it has to be one size fits all and everything. This is how I do things every single night and it has to go that way. I think giving yourself grace is really important because I mean, you're not going to be perfect all the time, but
Yeah.
like if you have things that are okay, okay, I want to do this and I want to do that and it helps you make you feel better about yourself and about you throughout your day. I feel like that really helps. I don't know. That's just my perspective.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think also being able to redefine, like being careful about why it's a problem. Of, oh, I wasn't productive today. Okay, first of all, what does that even mean? Like,
That's a good
at
point.
what point do you check the box that yes, I was productive today? And then why does it matter? Because usually, if we're not productive, it means we are not enough. We are not a good mom. Like that's the label we put on it.
And we shouldn't,
So
and I
not
do
true.
it. And I do
Oh yeah. Oh,
it.
we all do. We all do.
It's
And
like it's
so much
like
of that is just the language that we have and are fed constantly. And so we have to be the ones that are slowly, intentionally breaking that. And
right.
and then like we were saying before, of our kids are little sponges and they soak that up both directions. And so being so careful of like, I'm not doing enough. I didn't do enough today. I didn't get enough done. And then my kids go like, okay, so my 5-year-old's been learning to ride a two wheeler bike. And he's gotten to the point where like we can kind of start him and then he's good and he can steer and pedal and stay up and he's doing great. But getting started, he's really having a hard time with. I was making him start on his own going down the hill and he was getting so frustrated. And he said, I'm not doing it good enough. And I was like, oh, that was
Oh,
me. Oh, that was me. And just our kids soak it up.
they
They
do.
soak it up, but it starts with how I talk about myself because that is absolutely something he heard from me of I didn't do enough.
Hmm.
I'm not doing good enough. He absolutely heard that from
I
me.
know it's just like gut wrenching when you're like,
Oh,
oh, I did that to my kid.
so
Like, I don't know.
much.
And I totally agree. Like, I know so many, I mean, moms, women, I mean, I'm sure men too, but just like they have that thought, like, I'm not good enough. And I seriously have that all the time. Like, sometimes I'm like, I tell my husband, I'm like, I just feel like a terrible mom. I don't really like going out by myself a lot because it's just so much work.
Oh, totally.
I'm learning. And so like recently one of the first times that I went out and I was just like, this is so hard. And they were sad and they were hungry. And I was like, I'm trying to just check out of the grocery store, like just trying to do my best. I was parked too far from like the cart put away thing and I don't know, it was just like everything was just going wrong. And I just like came home, told my husband, well, he wasn't even home, so I like was talking to him on the phone. Like, honey, I just feel like a failure today. And he's just like, you're enough. I mean, you're safe, you know, like he was just like kind of like taught me through a few things like you're okay, you're enough, and you are a good mom. And so sometimes I just need that reminder, like, okay, I am a good mom. Like,
And
I
that
don't
my
know.
to-do list does not equate to my
Right.
value,
And
to my
yeah,
enoughness, to my being
it's
a
not
good
my
mom.
worth. It's not my worth. And I'm definitely it's not, and that's something I'm learning. Like our thoughts dictate like our actions and how I can better myself to feel better about myself. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? But
Yeah, totally.
like
But I think you're doing a great job because it starts with just recognizing those patterns. It starts with recognizing like, oh, okay, that was one of them. I'm saying I should do this. I'm saying that I'm not enough. I'm saying that to be a good mom, I have to be this kind of mom, that I have to do these tasks.
right,
Otherwise, I have
right,
failed. It starts with recognizing those and going, that's not true, but this is.
right, right.
And
And I mean I'm
slowly you'll start
slowly,
to,
yeah,
yeah, it's such
slowly. And
a
I mean
slow process.
I mean, I don't think anyone, I think it's just human tendency to like do those things and like comparison and like going on Instagram and seeing like, oh, they have it all together. I mean, they're a business mom, they have how many ever many kids, their house looks nice, like, you know, all the things that comparison and different things. I'm like, okay, that's not me and maybe that's not totally real life. Like, I have to remind myself, I am a good mom. I am doing what I can. I'm doing my best. I'm doing what's best for my kids. And that's one thing that like I really feel strongly about. I have the kids that I have for a reason, and they're to help me to grow as well as I'm here to help them to grow. And
Yes.
so I have to remind myself all those things like all the time. I mean, I feel like it's just constantly reminding myself like of the good things and yeah, I'm a good mom and this is why I'm doing it.
Yes.
So
Yes. 100%. It's absolutely, I mean, it took us how many years to learn this thinking? It's going to take time to unlearn it, and that it's not just like a one and done thing. You don't just like lift weights one day and you're forever strong. You don't just
right.
have a healthy, balanced meal one day and you're forever healthy. That's not
It's a
how it works.
constant
And our
everyday
mind is
battle.
the same way, which again is like so frustrating because wouldn't it be so great if you're like, oh my goodness, I've been telling myself these things and then you're just good. And my mind
Wouldn't that
is
be
fixed. I
so
never have to
nice?
do it again. But it
Wouldn't
doesn't
that
work
be
that way.
like amazing?
Yeah. And so constantly, like you said, telling yourself, I am a good mom. I am enough. I am doing enough. I am being enough. All those things. It's a constant thing to remind yourself of that and to find the proof of that you are a good mom. You are a good mom.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I've seen that through those little mundane things every single day. Like, I am a good mom. They're healthy. They're safe. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And even if the dishes aren't done or the laundry's not done or I'm not done, like, I am enough. Just constant reminders of that. You can't just be one and done. Repetition is just a lot of how we learn and how those things become a habit. And oh, my other thought was just like affirmations. I've been trying to learn a few for myself, like just say certain things that can change and uplift and like create a vision for what I want to become or what I want to be has been really helpful for me in knowing I can change and I can be better and I can help myself be better and doing everyday things.
I love that.
Anyways.
I love that. That's perfect. I think that's such a perfect way to end. Very last thing, we're kind of going to tie it back to the beginning, but what has been a magic in the mundane moment for you over the last little bit?
As I've been trying to be more intentional with my kids and spending more time with them, like I've noticed that my daughter is more affectionate and she wants to come and give me more hugs and more kisses. I think that has been probably the most magical thing for me is just seeing her like do those things. So small, so simple. I've just seen her do more of it. And so it's just been so sweet to have her come up and be like, I love you, mom, and give me a hug, or give me a kiss on the cheek, or give her sister a kiss on the cheek. It's just been so sweet to see those little things. This does matter. Motherhood does matter, and it
Yeah.
is so important. It is no matter like what my house looks like, we're making memories, and we're even if like my daughter once today was making eggs and she was like, I want to mix the eggs. So she went and got a spoon and wanted to mix the eggs. Even though I was ready to cook them, I still let her mix the eggs, just letting them learn and grow and become that little sponge as well. And those sweet moments, they just get my heart.
I love
I
that.
just love those.
I think you hit on something at the end of slowing down and saying yes when you can.
Yeah,
And I think it creates those sweet little moments. Well,
slow
thank
down.
you so much for talking with me.
Of course. I'm glad to be on. I'm just privileged to be able to talk and share a little bit about myself with you. And so it's been kind of fun. So
Thanks. You're the best. I hope you loved that interview. It was so fun. It's been so fun to just chat with you guys and have these deeper conversations because every mom has something important to say and perspectives that we need to hear. If you would like more of these mom chats to feel like you're a part of a village, Happy Moms Club is coming so soon. This membership is for moms who are looking for their people, who are looking to lighten the load a little bit, who are looking for deeper friendships and to learn and grow and become a better version of themselves, to do less and still be a fantastic mom. Membership opens on May 22nd. I will announce more here, but if you want more details, keep an eye on my Instagram. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, so message me on Instagram at @themissy_allred. There is always room in our village, so if you enjoyed it, will you please send it to a friend or leave a rating and review? Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next episode. Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you next week.